First story is titled, Update. Am I the a-hole for not siding with the other wives? Original story. Background. I've been with my husband for 6 years total, married for 2. We have no children and do not plan to. My 27 female, husband 32 male, has a group of guys that has been friends with since elementary school. After college, they all moved back to the same area and several of them rented a house together until they started getting girlfriends and moving out. After they moved out, they still had guys' nights nearly every Friday until COVID happened. They started back up a few months ago after restrictions in our area relaxed, and the majority of the guys started getting tested regularly because of their jobs. There is one single guy, let's call him Ben, left in the group, and they meet at his house and hang out in the carport to drink a few beers and just shoot the crap. I've never had a problem with my husband Will going guys' night. He gets off work at 5 and is usually home no later than 8 every Friday. He never drives home drunk, and if he ever does have a few too many, I don't mind going to pick him up. I feel like I should note that we live the farthest away from Ben's house, about 15 minutes. All the other guys live within walking distance of Ben. Usually, I bake cookies or other snacks for him to take with him to share with the guys. I also don't mind driving the other guys home if needed. If we have plans or anything, he doesn't go. Since the guys' night has resumed, the other wives have been complaining about it. We're friendly, but none of us are really good friends like our husbands are. We've tried to have a girls' night while the guys have their night, but most of them have kids, and we really don't have anything in common outside of our husbands. It was just awkward. One of the guys, Alex, is married to Faith, and they have a 1-year-old baby. Faith has been particularly vocal about not wanting Alex to be out every Friday, as she wants help at home. The other wives backed her up and started a group chat asking that we present a united front to cancel guys' night. Here's where I may be the a-hole. I refuse to side with them. It gives me time to unwind after work, and it's become part of my routine. So, when the other wives told their husbands that they didn't want guys' night to happen anymore, I told Will that I didn't feel the same way and he should keep going. He enjoys it, and he should get to see his friends regularly. So, after the confrontation, the other guy started in with, "Why can't you be cool like Will's wife?" Or, "She lets him go. She even makes us cookies and picks him up," etc. Alex apparently made a comment, "I wish I was still single like Ben. He can do whatever he wants, and I missed that." All the other wives are pissed at me, saying if we had been a united front like they planned, guys' nights would either be cancelled or a less frequent occurrence, once a month. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. Some info to clear up some assumptions I'm seeing in the comments. All the wives work. I do not know if the moms get nice to themselves like the guys do. I do not know the details of their family dynamics. I do know all the wives have tried to have girls' night amongst ourselves, and it didn't work, because we have nothing in common. I'm pretty sure all the wives have other friends, but I do not know when/how often they do things outside of the home. I send cookies and treats because I make them for my blog, not just to make them for the guys. I did not respond to the original messages in the group chat. I found out that the wives confronted the guys via my husband. Let's read the top comments before moving on to the update. Not the a-hole. Those guys are total a-holes. Imagine that at the end of a work week, these guys want a night to relax and the wives take care of the kids alone to make it happen. They work too. I guarantee they too would love taking the night off. And instead of being appreciative, these dudes whine that their wives don't bake cookies or come pick them up despite being within walking distance. If your spouse is taking care of the kids alone so that you can have a weekly night out, you make them a meal/snacks/cookies to show your appreciation and make their evening a touch easier. And you don't ask them to take the kids out at 8 p.m., get everyone their kids' seats and everything, just so you don't have to walk home or accept a lift from a friend. The complaining didn't start until after COVID restrictions lifted. I guess they got used to having the guys home every Friday during those few months. Before, it had been a standing weekly thing for nearly 10 years. I mean, COVID has been half the lifespan of the 1-year-old's life. Wanting your husband to cut back on leisure activities to help with a literal infant is not unreasonable. Not the a-holes. The wives are a-holes. The other guys are a-holes. But this is also coming after being together for 25 years. Back when we had little ones, I likely would have understood a wife's position more. Weekly might be a bit much. Why not every other week or once a month as a compromise? Weekly might be a bit much. I'd agree if it was a late night finish, but when the guy who lives the farthest distance is home by 8 p.m. at the latest, I think weekly should be fine. Now for the update. A lot has happened in the last 3 weeks, but I'm going to try to condense it for the character limit. After reading all the replies together, Will and I decided it would be best for him to confront his friends, particularly Alex. He told them it wasn't cool to try to throw me under the bus with their wives, and that their wives, especially the ones with kids, need and deserve time to themselves too. Well, according to the guys, all the wives are getting time to themselves without the kids each week, with Alex's wife Faith getting the most time out of anyone. She works until 4, but doesn't pick up their baby until 7 every day. She has a workout class 3 times a week, and a standing girls' night every Wednesday where she doesn't come home until 10 to 11 p.m. Alex picks up the baby on Wednesdays. Will and I had a brief, socially distanced get-together in our yard to clear the air. I confirmed what the guys had said about the wives getting time, and the wives admitted that they do, whether it's manicures, gym time, book club, etc. That's when I found out about Faith's social schedule. They then confirmed that all the guys were attentive and involved dads. Will later told me he was sure his friends weren't complete ass-bags, but was glad to have the reassurance. Then it erupted into a fight between Alex and Faith, with Alex saying he only gets 1 hour a week to himself since he gets off at 7 and is home by 8. Faith broke down and started screaming that it wasn't the time spent with his friends, but his comments the following days. She then turned on me, literally pointed and screamed that it is my fault. That during the lockdown, for the first time in over 5 years, she didn't have to listen to Alex talk about me all freaking weekend. I was shell-shocked and didn't know what to say, but Will jumped in and told her she could not talk to me like that, and she should probably leave before she said something she couldn't take back. Faith left, and Alex stayed. Afterwards, the other wives admitted they only agreed the ultimatum after Faith relentlessly persuaded and pushed them into it. I have never seen this side of Faith before, so I had no idea she could be like this. Alex has been sleeping at Ben's house for almost 2 weeks now. He's still been picking up / spending time with the baby, but he doesn't sleep at his house. He says they're going to try therapy, and if that doesn't work, they'll probably separate. As much as I dislike the guy, I feel bad for him. Guys' night has resumed. I still send cookies, but Will says he doesn't bring me up and shuts the guys down if they try to talk about me. Now for the top comments. Damn, sounds like that marriage was over, but it's still not your fault. I think you sound like the convenient excuse Faith have to pick a fight. It's definitely not Opie's fault, but it does sound like Alex got a crush / infatuation with Opie. Crushes happen, but the way to handle it is to distance yourself from the object of the crush. Not to talk about the crush all weekend to your partner, and then be surprised when they act like an insecure psycho. Lol. Honestly, I've never picked up a vibe that Alex has a crush on me. In fact, I've never really gotten the sense that he even likes me that much at all. When I met Will, I was still in college, and he would constantly make cracks about Will robbing the cradle or make fun of me for trying to get a good picture of the two of us for Instagram when we'd be out as a group. Just stuff like that. Since he was one of Will's best friends, I tolerated him the best I could. Later, we find out we have similar tastes in movies, music, and books. We can generally be civil when we're talking about that stuff, so that's all we really talk about if we have to be around each other. Since he's in the restaurant industry, he's interested in my baking blog. I still don't really like the guy, but we can hold conversation when we need to. Occasionally, we will text each other book recommendations or to look up an artist's new album, but that's it. It was great that everyone got together to talk through this problem together as a group, instead of he said she said. It's unfortunate what Alex and Faith is going through, but luckily the cause has been found, so that is not directed at you anymore. Your husband standing up for you is great, and I'm glad the other wives came around as well. So happy your husband and the other wives eventually stood up against all the nonsense, but sorry to hear it took these fights to get there. Thank you for the update. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband's colleague to stop bringing him meals that she cooks every day? I, female 35, been married to my husband, Tom, male 32, for 3 years. We recently moved to a new home about 4 months ago, and he started his new position at a private company and met new people who became friends with him outside of work. His work colleague, Claire, is a bit intrusive and doesn't really respect boundaries. She'd bring meals to my husband at work pretty much every day, and buy him stuff, saying she does this with everybody. She bought him a keychain before. Then he came home with a new tie, and there wasn't even an event at the company or outside of it. My husband said she is just generous and has a good heart. She'd call him after work to ask what he'd like to eat the next day. WTF? I was stunned and confused. He didn't reply to her, saying he doesn't want to make me upset, and sort of drop it. The next day he came from work with her meal leftovers, wanting me to try her cooking. I started getting uncomfortable and I wanted to meet her, since I was told she's a good person, and what I found out was far from the truth. She saw me in the car with my husband and said hi in the meanest way imaginable. She kept asking me rude questions and made comments about my age. I tried to end the conversation and we left after that. My husband wanted to invite a few friends over dinner, since neither his nor my family lived near. And Claire was invited as well. She started talking about work and basically excluded me from the conversation, and it was rude, very rude. And then brought up my age again. I was getting uncomfortable but didn't say anything until she asked my husband what he wanted to eat the next day. I told her thank you, but she shouldn't be bringing him meals at work. I thought that was inappropriate and not professional. She talked about him trying something new and her cooking background and stuff. I told her no thanks, but she disregarded my opinion. I got so mad at the blatant disrespect and told her to stop bringing him meals at work. She got upset, and then after the argument she ended up leaving. My husband thinks I'm being rude to her and that I should apologize, but I refused because she was out of line completely, especially after being told no. He calls me controlling, but I don't see how that's true. Added to say that I cook as well during the week, so it's not like we don't eat fresh meals, so she's being openly disrespectful and rude. Added to, everyone I talked to thought it was strange behavior as well. It's not a common thing for a female coworker to bring food to work. And of course, she isn't the only female coworker at the company, and I can't find an explanation for this behavior and the point of it. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I'd find it extremely weird if another woman was consistently cooking for my partner specifically. It's one thing if she likes to cook and brings food for everyone at the office. It's another to single him out, especially after you've communicated that it makes you uncomfortable. Yep, I had mixed feelings about judgment until I got to the part about her texting after hours to ask him specifically what he wanted to eat and the snide age comments. It seems like she's trying to drive a wedge. And Opie's husband is eating it up, literally, demanding she apologize. I had a boyfriend with a roommate like this. She'd make comments about my age and call him when he was out with me to come pick her up. And he'd go. I told him that it was inappropriate and that he was acting like she was his girlfriend, and he'd poo-poo me and try to make me sound controlling/insecure to mutual friends. No surprise to find out eventually that they were screwing. Exactly. I told my sister and she stared at me confused. She too found that weird and inappropriate. I cook for him, by the way, and my cooking is not bad at all. He even has favorite meals that always wants me to cook. But this, I don't know what to say honestly. She seems quite rude and clearly has no boundaries. Not the a-hole, but Claire and your husband are. Claire is being rude to you and disrespectful to your relationship with your husband. Too many boundaries are being violated, but you have a bigger problem than Claire. Your husband. Your husband should have shut down this behavior ages ago. Instead, he is encouraging it and allowing this woman to disrespect you. Not to mention your husband has been present when this woman has been rude to you, and he has said nothing to defend you. Your husband also invited her over to your house even when he knows how you feel about her. You have a marriage problem, not a Claire problem. Your partner doesn't care how this is making you feel, and that's the main issue. Instead, he says you are being mean to her. This is unacceptable, and you two really need to work on your relationship. If your husband respected and cared for you, he would be shutting Claire down, and you wouldn't have to worry about her. This is creepy and inappropriate as all get out. Why does your husband not find this bizarre? Why is he not standing up for you? Something really weird is going on here. He doesn't mind it until he notices how much it upsets me. He doesn't even eat properly at home because of her meals. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for wanting a say at my wedding, although I'm not the bride? I'm getting married in like 2 months, and I'm having an argument right now with the family of my fiancé. My 28 male, soon-to-be brother-in-law, 22 male, wants to propose to his girlfriend of 6 months at our wedding. He came over to ask my fiancé, 26 female, if that would be okay, and she is always doing everything to make him happy and said of course. I was at work, and she told me after I came home. I said, I don't think I'm okay with that, because this should be our day, and I don't want any spotlight to be taken away from her. She said that was sweet, saying that, but she's okay with doing this for her brother. Now, my fiancé always goes out of her way to make her brother happy. He needs a ride? She's on it. He wants to buy something expensive but hasn't the full sum. She will help out. This originated when their mom died when they were young. I'm totally okay with her helping him out, and I understand her brother is a really important person in her life. But this request takes it too far, in my opinion. I want this wedding to be the special day for us, something we can always think back of and talk about how nice it was. I also want my fiancé to have not to worry about anything on this day. Also, I'm not even sure if brother-in-law should even propose at this date. He might be getting carried away from our wedding and the constant talk about it. I don't think brother-in-law and his girlfriend are in the "we will be getting married" stage yet, but I could be wrong on that one. I have the fear that the answer of the girlfriend won't be an instant yes, and there will be drama. Or, it is a yes and that the relationship doesn't last long, and our memories of our day will be forever be stained. I brought up these concerns with my fiancé, and she basically told me not to worry about it. This will be our day no matter what, but I think she's a bit blind to her relationship with her brother. Finally, I told her I don't want the proposal happening on our wedding day, but we could help her brother set something up on another day. She accepted my position and said she would talk to her brother. Since I made my stand clear, I'm getting calls from her family, stepmom, dad, and sister. That is none of my business if my fiancé wants to let brother-in-law propose on our wedding, because she is the bride, and she gets the say. Also, I shouldn't stand between her and her brother, and it makes me an a-hole that I don't want to fulfill her wishes because she's the bride. Am I the a-hole for putting my foot down in this instance? Edit. I just want to correct the posters who are going after my fiancé. She accepted my veto and is supporting my decision. The problem are my future in-laws. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole completely. Brides and grooms should have equal say at a wedding. It's both of your special days. If you veto something that affects you both, it should be stayed vetoed. 2 yeses, 1 no. Might be a good time to talk with your wife to be about what boundaries you two plan to set with the rest of her family though. Sounds like it's going to be a recurring thing. Not the a-hole. I'm so sick of the whole "it's the bride's day so she gets what she wants" game. No, there are 2 people getting married, and they should both have an equal say about important things. There's a lot of things about a wedding that you may need to compromise on if the 2 of you don't agree 100%, if this isn't one of them. I also just don't understand why this idea of weddings being a great place to propose is so pervasive. Not the a-hole, but be clearer in your message. You don't want this because you don't want this. Stick to that. Don't make it about what your fiancé needs or trying to rein in your brother-in-law-to-be's bad decisions. Your emotional needs matter too, and that's enough. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.